to put the Brexit exit date into law, the Brexit date into law. Peter Bone.
Well, fantastic. This is a really big, important step because there was arguments about whether that date will be extended, and now another day's gone by, another day closer to coming out of this dreadful European Union protection racket.
OK, that's very clear, Chuka Umunna.
Well, this protection racket that has helped protect your viewers' rights at work, their rights as a consumer and our natural environment. But look, this isn't news. We know that this was the trajectory the government wanted to put us on. They always were saying they wanted us to leave on the 29th of March, but obviously you've got this very important intervention from somebody who has served our country with distinction as one of our senior diplomats abroad, and he makes the point that, look, there's nothing inevitable about this process. Clearly it's a lot more complex than people envisaged, and also every day, every week there are new facts emerging that people couldn't possibly have been expected to know at the time of the referendum. Like, for example, there's going to be a whopping big divorce bill. Like, for example, we're not going to be able to trade on the same terms out of the EU as we do in the EU. And of course, they're real practical issues. The Conservative Brexit minister who recently stepped down, Lord Bridges, said that he just did not believe that practically in the time frame, this 29th of March 2019 time frame, practically we're not going to be able to get a transition arrangement in place, the divorce bill settled and the final trading arrangement finalised. So we may need more time to actually be able to do that, and Lord Kerr's just said, look, you know, we've got the freedom, the flexibility to make choices later down the line if we want to.
Peter Bones, can you respond to that in the sense that Lord Kerr has said Brexit can be reversed? So, and there is now speculation that Theresa May, in the papers today, Theresa May is ready to increase the Brexit divorce bill, the £20 billion Brexit divorce bill, and that by setting this date today, putting this in law, planning to put this in law, this is Theresa May trying to assert some authority in the face of really difficult challenges of persuading her own party to back her on this.
I don't think I agree with much of that. I mean, the Conservative Party, it's pretty much united behind what the Prime Minister's doing on Brexit, more united than the Labour Party is on, you know, trying to sort of fudge it and try and get us to not come out of the EU. So I don't agree with that analysis. I don't agree that we should have a massive divorce bill. I don't see where that's been agreed. I don't think that is going to take place. And we might have an implementation period, but that will be after the 29th of March when we come out. So we're on course. The Prime Minister's doing the right thing. She's implementing what the British people want. People like Chuka just don't accept the referendum result and want to change it. Well, that's fine. They can say that. But we're going to do what the British people want, and Theresa May's getting on and doing it.
Well, actually, in fairness, I mean, Peter ignores the fact that I voted to invoke Article 50. So saying that anybody who raises objections to the way that the Prime Minister is carrying out this process just wants to do something different off the will of the people.
Do you want to stay in the EU?
Is nonsense. I wish we were.
You want to stay in the EU? Yes or no?
I wish we were.
There you go.
But we obviously had a referendum, and if I didn't accept the result of the referendum, I wouldn't have voted to invoke Article 50. But this divorce bill is the big thing. You've heard Peter talk about it. I'm not sure, he doesn't seem to accept that there will be a divorce bill. And I'll tell you why this matters. It matters because if there is a big divorce bill, there will not be that £350 million extra per week going to the NHS that was absolutely core to the Vote Leave campaign. The director of the Vote Leave campaign said that without that pledge, they wouldn't have won the referendum. And obviously, if there's a big divorce bill to pay, you're not going to be able to put that £350 million extra per week into the NHS. And Peter talks about an implementation phase. It's like a bridge, if you like, to take us to the point where we're out between where we're in. You've got to know where it is you are going. And obviously, if you don't know what the final deal is, what your final trading arrangements are going to be, how on earth do you know what you're transitioning to or what you're going to actually be implementing? Again, this is why, at the end of this process, we may actually need more time practically to get this right for the British people and your viewers.
Peter Bone, do you think that we would be able to leave the EU without paying a divorce bill, just to clear that up?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite clear. The government has said there's no legal obligation whatsoever to pay the EU anything. And, you know, there were a few reasons why the British people voted to come out of the EU. One was to control immigration into this country. Another big one was not to give billions of pounds a year to the EU. And another reason was to make our own laws in our own country. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what the government is trying to implement. And of course, the only way there would be any payment to the EU if there was an agreement. And as Chuka says, you need to know what that agreement is. What's it going to look like? No sign of that. My view is that we should come out of the EU without a deal, and that we would be better off. And as Chuka says, we could then spend, what is it, £14 billion a year on supporting the NHS and other public services. I think that's the way it will pan out in the future, because I don't think the EU has any interest in doing a deal with the United Kingdom whatsoever.
I'm not sure I agree with that, and let's just be clear what the consequences of leaving without a deal would be. We wouldn't have finalised our customs arrangements, so you talk to the port of Dover, they will tell you that there are going to be miles and miles of queues coming out of Dover. We could end up with trade tariffs up to 40% on agricultural produce, 12% on clothes, 10% on our cars, never mind not having agreement on security arrangements. That is, very complacent stuff and will be extremely damaging in a very practical way for your viewers. I think it will be awful.
Chuka Umunna, Peter Bone, thank you very much for both of you for joining us on Breakfast this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.